Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Final Fantasy Bestiary. This series is dedicated towards discovering the history and lore behind Final Fantasy's most iconic creatures, characters, weapons, everything at this point. This episode we're going to take a look at a more ambiguous job in the franchise as we dive into the history of the Beastmaster. Unlike a lot of our other mentions in the franchise, Beastmaster, or Beast Tamer, whichever you prefer, is simply a common concept used in several RPGs, from D&D to our very own Final Fantasy. As the name would imply, the job focuses on controlling creatures or pets to do the majority of their attacking and defending, while the master falls back on basic combat skills to support the pet in combat. This is usually through something like a basic weapon, such as an axe, a bow, or even a whip. In some incarnations across different RPG franchises, the pet instead acts as the support, while the master shows off the incredible combat prowess. The concept is left up to interpretation of its user, and it's a highly versatile job across the RPG fanbase. In Final Fantasy, there are quite a few versions of the job, though it is not used as commonly as traditional jobs such as Thief or Black Mage. Let us take a look at how Final Fantasy has used Beastmaster or Tamer in its games, shall we? The job first debuted in Final Fantasy V. After the Fire Crystal shatters, Bartz and his allies come across a job shard containing the power of the Beastmaster. In combat, the job is capable of capturing enemies once they are low on health. They may then release them in a style similar to that of a summoner, with a large one-time attack, after which another creature must be captured if you wish to use the skill again. They may also take control of enemy monsters in the middle of combat, or inflict stop on any non-humanoid or machine-type enemies with Calm. For weapons, they start with daggers, but eventually gain access to whips, allowing them to deal damage from the back row without incurring any penalties. Unfortunately, after that first showing, the job would be mostly absent from the franchise for quite some time directly after this. Considering Final Fantasy V was the last numbered mainstream game to have an actual job system until 10.2 and 11, this isn't that surprising. However, certain parts of the job live on across the non-job games in the franchise. In Final Fantasy VI, Realm sketches enemies to copy their abilities and eventually gets the ability to outright control them, somewhat like a Beastmaster. It's a bit of a stretch, but I prefer to call it a sketch. In Final Fantasy VII, the manipulation materia can be used to control enemies in battle as well, although the game just calls it the manip materia for short. I just don't feel like saying that. Up to this point, the control command is actually quite popular, mostly so players can force enemies to use certain skills to learn their respective blue magic abilities. In Final Fantasy VII, players would use the manip materia to take control of a Zemzalet early on in the game and command it to use White Wind in order to learn their spell with their enemy materia. Outside of confusing enemies to make them potentially attack their allies in Final Fantasies 8, 9, and 10, they really didn't mess with the idea of Beastmaster at all in these games. Unless you want to consider Renoa and her dog Beastmaster, but I'd say Angelo makes a better piece of ammo than necessarily a pet that you would use in combat traditionally. The next time you see the idea is with the Trainer Dressphere in 10.2, where each of the party members has a pet they can control when equipped with this job. Yuna controls Kogoro, a reskin of Yojimbo's Daigoro, Riku controls a monkey called Giki, and Pain controls a hawk named Flurry. While they don't go about capturing or taking control of random enemies, the relation to controlling a pet makes this simply another means of portraying a Beastmaster in the game. The next game on our list is probably the one most of you expected to hear about when you click this video, Final Fantasy XI. This version of Beastmaster takes some of the concepts from Final Fantasy V's incarnation of the job and adjusts it heavily to fit within the MMO space. This job can only be unlocked after getting another job to level 30 and completing a specific quest. In Final Fantasy XI, you can capture enemies you fight out in the open world to use in combat, controlling them until they die or you leave their natural habitat. You can also summon powerful pets with items in the case of having no charmable enemies around, or to utilize these summoned monsters' incredible strength compared to the wild creatures in the area. Once in control, they command their pets as an extension of their own power, even having the ability to power up their pets massively with certain skills. If the Beastmaster so chooses, they may choose to join their pet in close quarters combat with an axe, though it's not uncommon to just see them play from the sidelines against more dangerous foes. The job is mostly affiliated with solo play, carefully controlling pets to take on more deadly foes. Beastmasters are known to band together to take on serious challenges though, as their higher level pets can be quite tanky or have very powerful attacks. If you want to be self-sufficient though, this is a good job for you. Now, as with the era we mentioned earlier from Final Fantasies 8 through 10, the job system in Final Fantasy just kind of became something more dedicated to the non-numbered games. Individuals being affiliated with pets or allies were more often linked to Summoner than they were Beastmaster. In those non-numbered titles though, we of course have Tactics Advance and A2, as well as the mobile game Record Keeper and the Final Fantasy style Monster Hunter game called Final Fantasy Explorers, all of which have some iteration of the Beastmaster. So when might we see Beastmaster next? Well, in Final Fantasy XIV, they recently name-dropped this job as a potential candidate for one of the game's future limited jobs. This concept applies to jobs with special gimmicks not traditionally suited for party play, giving them their own progress and content to do instead. While Blue Mage was the first one implemented, Beastmaster and Puppet Master were both called out as potential limited jobs in the future. Beastmaster making an appearance sometime during or after 5.0 actually makes a lot of sense if you look at the realm of Evil East present in Tactics Advance and A2, which we just mentioned. In those titles, Beastmaster is a job exclusive to the Nummo, a race of canine-like humanoids who usually specialize in fields of magic. As Beastmasters, however, they call monsters in battle for them to make up for their lack of physical prowess. They are also the exclusive users of the Morpher job, which more closely resembles blue magic as allows them to use monster skills. And with that, we're already done looking at the very brief history and potential future of Beastmaster in the Final Fantasy franchise. While it hasn't been very common, this concept is very common across other RPGs and franchises, so I really wouldn't be surprised to see Final Fantasy XIV or even other Final Fantasies take a stab at this. I suppose I could mention Final Fantasy XV's Beast Whistle, which at least summons enemies towards you, but that's for killing, not for capturing. So with that, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned. We're probably going to have some reissues of some previous bestiaries coming out in the near future. Blue Mage having come out in Final Fantasy XIV is definitely a big one. And there are, of course, the evolution races and things, which I don't think we've ever adequately covered, and we're probably going to have to start mentioning here on the channel a little bit more. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see all of you in the next bestiary, and until then, take care.